Hello guys, welcome to part 2 of getting started with 3D modeling, and this is the part 2 of our ice cream wheel art. So what I'll be doing now is that I'll be creating cups for our ice cream on top of this cube in here. So let's go and start creating our cups. So now first thing we do, we bring our cursor down here by holding shift and right clicking. So shift and right click, we can move our cursor. Let's move it to the top of this cube here, and let's say shift A on our keyboard. Shift A, go to mesh and bring in a cylinder, and let's scale the cylinder to create our cup. But first, what we'll do now is that I want to bowling this cube, so we'll have place for our cup to be inside. So I want to create like a hole inside this cube. So now by doing that, let me readjust this cup size S to scale. So I will duplicate this cylinder, shift D to duplicate, and make Alt Z back. So I'll move this forward a little bit and make this side to be the cavity for small cups. Select this, shift D to duplicate, push a little bit backwards, reduce the size a little bit again, and so I can have 3 rows of different size of cups or 4, and shift D again, duplicate this. You can scale this a little bit for the bigger cups, and we're good to go. So I can push this like this. So what I want to do now is I can select this now and come here to where I have, okay, I can select this. I can say bevel first. Let me bevel this and add some few segments to it. Add just one and say apply. Now I can now select this cup that we have here and scale them on the Z axis so the hole can be deeper, and I will join them together also and say Ctrl J on your keyboard to join objects. Ctrl J. So now the objects are now one, as you can see. So what I will do again is that I will pull in this cube. So I'll select my cube first, come to where we have add modifier, click on add modifier, go to boolean, come where we have objects, select this pick tool and click on this cylinder. So now you see there are some marks in here to show that I've pulled in this cube. So I can now come to this place and say apply. Now when I select this cylinder, you see a hole inside this place. So now I have this cavity, so I can delete this. I can say delete on your keyboard. And now let's bring in another cylinder in here. I can say shift A, go to mesh, cylinder, and I can make this to be 25, 20, I say 25, and now scale, it upwards and scale to fit in that hole. Okay, good. Now so now I want to unhide Shift H to unhide. Now on your keyboard you can click on 3 on your notepad, 3 to go to the right orthographic view. And now I want to model a cup, so I will say tab on my keyboard for edit mode, 1 for vector selection, Alt Z for wireframe mode. Now first thing we'll do, select all these vertices down here and scale, S to scale, and let's move this downwards a bit, S to scale again, and scale this a little bit, and let's add edge loops. Let's add one edge loops here. Let's add another one here. So now what I want to do now, select these two. Let me move these two upward a little bit. Select this and scale like this, and move upwards. Okay, add one more edge loop and add one here first. So we can scale this, and let me scale this also. Alt Z. So Alt Z, Ctrl Z back. I'm not supposed to scale that. So what we do now is that we'll add through 3 loop cuts here, and add 3 here also, and add 3 here also. So now we go to our face selection, select this face and say I to insert, I again to insert, and I to insert. So we can add one more edge loop here and here. So now what we want to do now, we select this face and delete this face, and delete that face. So we'll add one more loop cut under here. Ctrl arrow to add a loop cut. You can add 2 and add 1 here also. So our cup is looking nice. So we want to add some thickness to this cup. So by doing that, we come back to our add modifier panel, click on add and go to solidify. Click on solidify. If you watch now, we have some little thickness in here, so we can increase the amount of thickness. This is okay to be thickness for a cup, so we can make it 0.4, and we come. So now we go back to object mode. We can apply this on our edit mode, so click on tab to object mode, then click on this button here and say apply. Now let's go to edit mode. Now we've applied our solidify modifier. Now let's add one more loop around the top of the cup. Ctrl arrow to add a loop cut, and left click. So now we want to add a smooth modifier, subdivision surface modifier, to give smoothness to our cup, because our cup is looking rough. So we come back to this add modifier and select subdivision surface. Our cup is looking smooth, so we have to right click on our cup and go to shade smooth also. So now our cup is looking very smooth. Let's hide our wireframe, go to overlays and toggle off wireframe. Now we have something like this now. I think this is not meant to be so let's do Alt Z and see what's happening down there. Alt Z. Let's go back. Okay, so now let's delete this face again and say delete face, and let's add solidify to it and increase the thickness, and let's go to object mode and apply again. And now let's go to edit mode, and now let's add one more loop cut here. So now we can add one loop cut in here. We can add 3. And so let's go to face mode and insert this face, I to insert, I again to insert, and I to insert. We come down here also, select this face, I to insert, I to insert, and we insert again, and do it one more time. So now we can add one loop cut down here to tighten this up. So now when we add our subdivision surface, we go to tab and right click and say shade smooth. So now we don't have any worries down here and inside, but we can add more details to it. Let's cage this. Let's go to edit mode and Ctrl arrow to add a loop cut here and push this upwards. Ctrl arrow, add one loop cut here, push downwards. Ctrl arrow again, push upwards. We're just adding some few details to our cup. Ctrl arrow to add one more loop cut here. I think the down of our cup is perfect. So now this is our cup looking great. So now let's go back to overlays and toggle on wireframe, and let's say Alt H to unhide unselected. So now here is our cup. We can move our cup inside these holes here. We can scale it, S to scale and move upwards. Let's move upwards and let's scale it. Scale bit, and this is okay. So now what I want to do now, we'll select this and Shift D to duplicate and move upwards to have series of cups. So we can select these two and do Shift D to duplicate, release by right clicking and move them upwards also. Now we have 4 large cups. We can select this and duplicate, Shift D to duplicate, move it to this point, and let's scale to fit inside their hole. Okay, it's well fitted now. I say select Shift D to duplicate and move upwards. Select 2 cups also, Shift D again, duplicate and move upwards. So we have 4 cups here also. We can delete 1 cup, let's have 3 cups here. Shift D again, duplicate, move to this point and scale. Make those adjustments. And let's say Shift D, duplicate, and let's move. Let's make these 2 cups. We can also make these 4 cups. Shift D, duplicate again. So we can make these 5 cups. Shift D, duplicate, and move upwards. So we can select this, Shift D, duplicate, and this will be for the smaller cup, and S to scale. So we can move this this way, and let's scale it a bit again. Move, push it inwards. Now let's say Shift D to duplicate. Move upwards. Select 2 cups. Shift D, duplicate again, and move upwards. So we can select these 4 cups. Shift D, duplicate, and let's move them upwards. So we have 8 cups here and 5 big cups. So this makes it pretty cool. So we have series of cups in here. So what next we'll do, let's create the umbrella. Let's model the umbrella. First we'll create the pole for where the umbrella will be hung on. So let's bring our cursor here by Shift and right click on the position we want to bring in our pole for the umbrella. So now let's say Shift A, go to mesh, click on cylinder, S to scale. Now let's go to the right view. You can press 3 on your keyboard. Now let's scale on the Z axis, S and Z. So now let's go to edit mode. Tap on your keyboard to edit mode. Click 1 for vector selection. Select these vertices here. Alt Z for wireframe. Select these vertices here and move upwards. It's okay. And now let's go back to our object mode. Now what I want to do now, I want to go to face and insert this region. I to insert, I again to insert. So now I can now scale this. So I can do that for the on, put it down. I to insert, I again to insert, and scale this. Okay now. So what I want to do now, I want to bring in a cone to our scene for the umbrella. And now let me review the size of this, the length of this. The length of the pole is quite long, so Alt Z and bring it down a little bit. Alt Z again, and now let's go to object mode. Tap for object mode, and let's bring our cursor to the top here by holding Shift and right clicking at the top of our cylinder and say Shift A, go to mesh and go to cone. So now let's make these vertices 10. I will say OK. So now to create this umbrella is very simple. Select it, go to edit mode, tap for edit mode, go to vectors mode. You can select all these vertices and delete them. Go to face mode, select this face and delete it. Say delete face. No, Alt Z back. I have to delete the face first. Face mode, delete this face, and we can delete this face also. Come to vectors and delete these vertices. So what we have now, we have all these vertices here. So hold Alt and select all of them, then say E for extrusion, S to scale, and scale to that point and move upwards like this. So what I want to do now, I want to select all these edges here hold shift to select all edges, hold shift to select all edges, and so what we do now, we bevel them. So we have two edges, bevel. Let's bevel them. Ctrl B to bevel. Okay. This is okay. On scale, but Z back. Select this and Ctrl B again. I want to make it kind of a little bit smaller. Okay, this is okay now. So now I want also select these edges. Hold shift to select only these edges. Select these edges. Select these edges and extrude downwards. E for extrusion. Okay, so we have something looking like an umbrella now. So we can add one loop cut in between them. Add one loop cut in between them. Ctrl arrow to add loop cuts. Like I said, Ctrl arrow to add the loop cuts. Ctrl arrow to add loop cuts. Ctrl arrow to add loop cuts. Ctrl arrow to add loop cuts. So what I want to do next is that I'll add another loop cut around this cone. Ctrl arrow and add 4 loop cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can make it 5. And also extend it to this point. Yeah. Take it upwards a little bit and add one more loop cut down there. Now what I want to do now, I want to select this, hold Control, select this, hold Shift to select one edge here, and hold Control to select on that line. So we can also select like this also. So we want to make something looking like this, but I want to achieve that by selecting all these also and moving them like upwards like this. So to do that, very simple. Let's do Ctrl Z back. So hold this, hold Control, hold Shift to select this, and hold Control, click on these vertices, hold Shift to select these vectors, hold Control to select vertices on that line, hold Shift to select another one, hold Control to select on that line. So continue the process, hold Shift to select and hold Control to select on that line, hold Shift to select and hold Control to select on that line. Do the same, hold Shift to select and hold Control to select on that line, hold Shift to select and hold Control. So now we want to push these vertices upwards. Scaling won't be, there's no point for us scaling it, but let's select this one down so we can also see scale and also see scale. You can decide to scale and not to scale, so hold Shift to select all of them beneath and let's scale and see how it looks like. Yeah, looking pretty cool. And scale a little bit and let's move upwards. upward. So we have something like this now. So we can come now and select this back, all these vertices, and move them downwards back. So all the vertices around in between, let's move them downwards. You can also scale them also. A little bit. So let's leave them like this. So now we can add 2 loop cuts here, 2 loop cuts here on the side of the umbrella. Control arrow to add loop cuts, control arrow to add 2 loop cuts, control arrow, add 2 loop cuts, control arrow, add 2 loop cuts, control arrow, put this down, control arrow, add 2 loop cuts. Do the same, control arrow, add 2 loop cuts. So now come to the top of our umbrella, hold Alt to select all, and go to edge selection and say E for extrusion, release and move upwards. Control C on the X axis, on the Z axis. Extrude again, E for extrusion, scale, E again for extrusion, move upwards, E, scale, E again for extrusion, release, move upwards, scale, and E for extrusion again, S and E, scale, S to scale, and F to fill that up. So now we can add edge loops around this place. So you can add 2 edge loops, and you can push upwards a little bit. So now we can add more edge loops here, add one here, bring it down to this point. Do the same, bring it down there, add one and bring it down here. So let's add one also, let's tighten this place also. So I'm gonna add 2 loop cuts here, 2 loop cuts here, and 2 loop cuts here. What we want to do next, we say A or select all. We want to add some thickness to this. So we can either go to solidify and say solidify and add that thickness and say 0.2. Go back to object mode and say apply. Now go back to edit mode and let's add one more edge loop here and say 2 or 1 and say OK. So now when we go to our add modifier again, let's add subdivision surface for smoothness. So we have something looking like this. Let's gauge this. Now let's go to our overlays and let's double up our wireframe. Now we can see our umbrella is having a good detail, but we are still seeing some lines because we have not done shade smooth. So left click on this umbrella on our object mode here and right click on it and go to shade smooth, and now our umbrella is now looking smooth. So we can now go to our right view and make some adjustment on our umbrella. let's say Alt Z for wireframe. Go to overlays and toggle on our wireframe and select the umbrella and scale. Let's push downwards. So we have something looking like this. Alt Z back. So our umbrella is covering the ice cream at the same time covering the ice cream and pushing the truck, the wheel. So it's looking perfect now. So we can also make some few adjustments. Always save your document by clicking Ctrl S to save. So we can go to the front view and make some adjustments also. Let's ensure this is aligned at the center. Now I think the handle is pretty small. You can scale it to make it bigger and bring it to the center also. You can scale it on the Z axis, S and Z. Let's add some thickness to it. You can select this, go to edit mode, hold shift and alt. Let's scale this, S to scale. Just to add some thickness to it. But see, I think this place is kind of popped out, so let's leave it this way. Or we can also select this part of it and push this outwards. Create some thickness in there. It's looking great. Okay, so this is what we have for our ice cream carts. So we are done with the modeling. Now let's add the floor. Shift A. Let's bring our cursor here first to the center. So let's do Shift S and let's bring our cursor to world origin. Shift S on your keyboard. So now our cursor is now at the center of our grid. So now when I do Shift A, go to mesh and bring in a plane. So now our plane now appears at the center of our grid. So I can say S to scale uniformly. Let's go to our front view. You can use 1 on your notepad to go to front view also. So let me align this to be at the center, everything here. Okay, now looking good. So now we have our floor here. We can increase this floor and scale on the y-axis also, and scale on the x-axis. So we're done with our modeling. So on the next tutorial, we'll be doing texturing. We'll be adding textures, we'll do UV mapping, and we'll add some shading to our ice cream wheel cards. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, make comments and share. Thanks very much.